What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Salud Cabrones podcast. I am Danny Villegas.
And I am Javier Ledesma.
And we are coming to you live today from RomeoCon in Romeoville. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, our guest needs no introduction. He is legend in professional wrestling. He is, man, homie, no one else like him, Chavo Guerrero Jr.
Yo, what's up, guys? You guys got your radio voices on. I can hear it all deep, all sexy.
Our Barry White voice?
Yeah, Barry White.
He's like, you guys don't normally sound like that.
Yeah, exactly, right.
I was with you guys all last night. You guys did not sound this sexy.
Exactly.
Bro, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us today, bro.
That was fun, bro.
Dude,
I had a good time, man.
It was fun, man. Chavo is a pool hustler.
Yeah.
If no one knows. He is a pool and a dart hustler.
Just want to put this out there, guys. If you find yourself at a bar late night and you think that you got what it takes to beat Chavo, don't. Just don't, okay? Just go away.
Just walk away. Yeah.
Save your money because he's going to embarrass you. This is basically like the Dave Chappelle thing where he talks about Prince hustling people in basketball. This is literally the same thing.
And if he says, I'll pay you for a bar tab, you're paying his bar tab.
It's not going to happen, man. You're just not going to beat him. Might as well just give it up before it even gets started.
Brother, what do you like doing about these cons, man? I know you do them all the time. It's great seeing you today. It's great seeing you doing these cons, man, out there. Obviously, the legend that you are, man. What is it that you like about these cons?
Man, I just like meeting people, man, to be honest. One thing when we were with WWE, and it's so big. It's so big, and it's very hard to go and interact with the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing, if you're a heel, you're not supposed to. And another thing is just like there's so many people there. So if there's 10,000 people there and you shake 9,999 hands and you do that one, well then you're that jerk to that one person.
Right,
so
right.
It's really, really hard to sit there and interact with the fans a lot because you got to get in and get out. But that's what I love about these cons is I actually get to talk to them right now. I just had a conversation with this kid who's in 4th grade, and he knew everything. He was a 10-year-old, and I felt like I could have talked to him, for 30 minutes. He was saying about how on one of the video games, man, I dominate. My character's really good, but on another of the video games, I get destroyed all the time. And I was like, well, it just depends. Every game's different. So, but it was cool talking to the kid, man, and it was. I enjoy that a lot.
Like you said, it's those moments where, like you said, at a show or whatever outside, you're meeting thousands of fans. You don't really get to have that interaction, that one-on-one time where you could actually have a full-on conversation, and they can tell you things that they remember about you.
Right.
And I'm sure that holds near and dear to your heart. Because
right.
being in the business for so long, and they said you even got a 10-year-old kid that knows everything about you. So
yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's a pretty cool thing. But like I said, you just meet. They don't just want to come in and get a quick autograph from you. They want to tell you your story or ask your favorite match or that kind of stuff. So it's you get a chance to spend a minute with them, and it's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy that a lot.
And then also, congrats on Iron Claw. Yeah, great movie. And you did the stunt for that stunt coordinating. How was it working on that? How was it working with Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White, and the rest of the great cast?
That was I really enjoyed doing that movie, man. Those guys are A-list actors not by chance. They are because of their work ethic. They all came in and worked their butts off, and it was never like me telling them to put their phones down and come on, let's get focused. No, they knew they had a certain amount of time. They came in, we busted it out, and then you see the final project.
How would you compare teaching actors like that to wrestle as opposed to teaching kids that are looking to get into the business?
Totally different, 100% different. I'm not teaching the actors to have a WrestleMania match. I'm teaching them to look like a wrestler in a scene. So I have a bunch of tricks to make them look like they're wrestlers. They know what they're doing, even though they may not know why they're doing this. But it makes them, look like wrestlers. It's all about footwork. It's all about where your hands are at, your posture, that kind of stuff. And that's not necessarily what I'm teaching a wrestling student. That's going to be different for sure. Also, with an actor, I have the studios that are entrusting me with millions of dollars of talent. So typically in the wrestling world, Danny, you get beat up a little bit training, and you have to get ring hard, we call it, learning how to take these bumps and these punches and all that stuff because it hurts. It's very a physical business, but for these actors, I try not to do that. There's no getting around it at times. It's still wrestling in a sense. But, I can't beat them up. I can't get them that ring hard. I can't have them do that. Even though they do experience a little bit of that, I can't, like I said, can't get them where their bodies are hurting and they can't perform, because then they're not going to want to come to practice. Then they're going to want a stunt man to be there in their place. Well, now that's a whole different kinds of camera angles and a different direction that we're going. So when I can actually have these actors look like wrestlers in that ring and they're doing the actual moves, then we have so many more shots.
The fact that they're actually doing them and there's no stunt doubles in there.
Correct.
I'm curious.
Kudos to them on that.
Yeah. How much more respect did they have for the business after that?
Oh, a ton. They knew, because wrestling hurts. It's tough.
As we know,
We all remember our first bump.
Right. But like Jeremy Allen White said it pretty well, and he. At one point, I was telling him, after doing like some spots, some moves, then I'm like, okay, now you have to fire up right here. And he's like, God, I'm exhausted. I said, no, this is more important than those moves. And that's when he started getting it, like, it's the stuff in between the moves that really make a good wrestler a great wrestler. It's not the moves.
That's fantastic. Let me ask you a question. Compared now, your family lineage, there's stories and obviously millions of stories about you guys growing up with trampolines and growing up with like wrestling rings in the back and just going through the motions since you were little. So
no trampolines for us.
Just the actual ring.
We were forbidden for a trampoline. The actual ring, yes.
So the stories go that you guys learned at just a young age. So having that already instilled in you by your family, like as far as being teachers, now that you are in this part of your career, whether it's the acting world or the wrestling world, how do you give back, and how is it your mentality going into teaching others?
I always like to give back. I was trained by some of the best ever.
Your name is Guerrero. It is the best ever, right?
Not just my family, but other people that were in the business, like an Arn Anderson, a Mr. Perfect, a Ric Flair, a Paul Orndorff. These guys, took me under the ring and really, really taught me the business. Sometimes more than my family, just because it was a different thing. My family was always wrestling, and these other people kind of really taught me the business of wrestling. So I like to give back and I'm not the future of this business. These kids, these students are. So that's where I'm trying to get them and pass on this knowledge to them that's been passed on to me through generations.
It's fantastic. I love hearing that story, man. I love the idea of the vets knowing that that's exactly what happens and not understanding that their time, whether it's still there or not, but they understand where the future needs to go to. I love that, man.
Absolutely. If you can, this is an art form. Pro wrestling is an art form, and sometimes I feel it's a dying art form because, I don't see them being taught a certain way at times, and then sometimes when I see that, this great match on TV, one of the new guys, I'm like, okay, these guys get it, they understand. What we do in the ring, and you guys know this, what we do in the ring is we tell stories. We don't, it's not moves. We're telling stories in the ring. We're putting these fans on an emotional roller coaster to either get them to hate us or to love us or to cheer us or to boo us or whatever that feeling we're trying to get, where that storyline's going. And we use those moves to help tell that story, but those moves themselves are not the story. And that's where sometimes it's getting lost in wrestling, where these guys are just doing these moves, and granted, they're great moves. They look amazing, but when that move's done, where do they go? We have to get a connection with these fans, and that's something that I'd like to really try to teach young wrestlers. Connect with the fans somehow, whatever it is. Everybody does it different. Rey Mysterio does it differently than me. John Cena did it differently than Rey Mysterio. Undertaker does it differently than all of them. But you have to learn to connect with the fans and get them to give a shit about you. Yes. Whether they care about you or they boo you, but they have to make noise when you're there. Some kind of noise. If they're just quiet when you're there, that's tough. That's not good.
I feel like nowadays, I think for most of the time, the art of selling is kind of out the window.
Yeah, these guys are trying. Sometimes they're working harder, not smarter.
Yeah.
If you let's say super kick me in the face, you better have to pick me up off the canvas or put me back in the ring, because I'm gonna sell the heck out of it.
So you're not gonna get up and feed for 15 more?
No, I am not. No, I'm not. And
Followed by a Canadian destroyer.
well, that's a great point. I was going to bring that up. That Canadian destroyer. When I first saw Petey Williams do that, I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing! What an amazing finish!" And now it's a high spot, and people are doing this as a high spot. I'm like, it doesn't. It's cool. It just doesn't make sense to me. If you're doing that and landing on your neck, all of us have landed on our neck.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're not getting back up and running. You're holding your neck on it. Okay, hold on. Am I alive? Is my neck broken? What's going on?
Right.
And we're not showing that on TV a lot, and I think that's something that's it's missing just a little bit.
So what's one sound advice that you would give to a new up-and-comer getting into the business?
Sell. There is no Darth Vader without Luke Skywalker. Mm-hmm. And in wrestling, there is no heel without that babyface. And that babyface has to sell for that heel. And vice versa, it's just a different way. Mm-hmm. And I just see where, it's a quick sell. It's not... so back in the day, these wrestlers would outperform each other by outselling each other. So out-registering each other's moves. So, I can make your punch look better than you can make my punch look. And they would, go back and forth like a Steamboat and a Flair. These guys would just sell so much for each other. And I think that just makes that makes you without having to make yourself. Mm-hmm. There's somebody else is making you. And I don't see that a lot in wrestling at times.
Mm-hmm. What would you say is one of your greatest memories in and outside the ring?
In the ring, gosh, so many, man. I've had so many different things go on in the ring, I remember one time, funny stories, I wore contacts, and in the ring one time my contact popped out, and it was me and Eddie versus Rey Mysterio and Paul London. We were somewhere overseas, and I only had a certain amount of contacts. They're disposable ones, but only a certain amount when I'm overseas. So I'm like, I can't lose this contact. I gotta get it. So I'm looking for it. I see it, and every time I try to go down and pick it up, like I was getting, drop kicked, and I was getting 619, and so I was still having to sell the moves, but keep an eye on my contact. And I would tell the referee, okay, go get my contacts right there. Well, then somebody would go for a cover, and he had to go for a pin count. So finally, after the whole time, I finally found it. After getting kicked all over the place, I felt like Popeye when Wimpy, every time he would bend down and try to pick up his hat, he'd kick it right every time. I feel like that was it. So that's a good one.
Did you put it back in, or did you?
No, I had to go home and I had to go disinfect it.
He only had that one.
So I had one contact in and one out. So my perception was all
because I got contacts as well, and same thing. I remember one day I was at work, one of them tore, so I had to take it out, and all day at work I just had one, and I was like half blind, like, oh man, I can't see where that goes.
Your depth perception's all off, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about favorite memories, and to kind of piggyback on Danny's question, you just answered as far as the in-ring, but let's talk about your favorite memory. But however, let's tweak it. We're in Chicagoland, baby. Tell me your favorite Chicago story.
Chicago, guy. I've had so many different matches.
I'm pretty sure.
So many. See, when WCW, we used to start and we used to wrestle at the United Center.
Oh yeah.
And then WWE, we went to the Allstate Arena. So I've kind of wrestled in both, but gosh, there's so many different ones here. I didn't think about it. You put me on the spot all of a sudden. Sorry.
I thought he was going to say the time that he beat Danny at the bar in darts. I thought that's what his favorite Chicago memory was going to be.
That was a given. I knew that was going to happen. That was going to happen. I didn't have to.
Oh man, hey, he beat both of us at pool. Okay.
You guys are pretty good though too. You guys are pretty good. I had a good partner too. We're all right. It was by myself. All right.
Yeah, he sucks.
You mean the Samoan Mexican werewolf?
Exactly.
The Samoan Chihuahua.
Exactly. The Samoan Sasquatch.
So now, brother, you got like I said, man. I mean, legendary in this business, man. And now you're making a big name for yourself in the acting world, bro. What else is coming up the pipeline, man, for Chavo Guerrero?
Man, we got some things going on right now, and nothing's set in stone. Hollywood right now is still coming back. They're bouncing back from that big strike. So I'm just kind of waiting for these projects to kind of get off the ground right now. I've got a couple more this Ric Flair biopic, I believe, is going to be coming up soon. And hopefully I will be a part of that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So.
nice.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We got some stuff. There's not the end. I got some pretty big projects coming up. My main thing, and we talked about that yesterday, is I want to direct. That's where I want to go.
That's awesome.
Eventually, I will work my way into the director's seat. So
that is awesome, man.
I don't think there's anyone better to tell the story of the Guerreros than you, from the directorial point of view.
Director, yeah, for sure. And I mean, no one can tell the people who've lived it. Right?
Would you like to see a movie of the Guerreros? Oh.
Yeah, we've had some talks talking about doing something with it about the Eddie Guerrero story, or I think there's a great story there, and
because the Guerrero name goes a long way.
For sure. A lot of ups and a lot of downs. So I think there's something there.
Yeah. Well, brother, we want to say thank you, man. Thank you for coming and sitting with us today, man. We appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you guys, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, man, and thanks for the chelas.
Yeah.
Thanks for the beers from yesterday, and some of the darts, and that was a good time, man. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
We appreciate you, man. So thank you again to Chavo Guerrero for hanging out with us today. Thank you again to our sponsors, the Law Office of Christopher Hoff and a Taco Villa in Villa Park. And ladies and gentlemen, we sign off by saying, Salud, cabrones. We out.